Hello my gorgeous makeup loving friends, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Teresa and I love all things makeup, beauty and skincare. So on the weekends, I like to hang out with you guys and talk about the newest releases and the stuff that's relatively interesting. So a massive thank you to everyone who has tagged me in content for this week. Your names are being displayed right now. You're fantastic. And also a massive thank you to my fabulous YouTube community members. We had a live last week. It was a good old time. And a massive congratulations to Terry, who won this month's giveaway. I have seen your email and I'm going to send on those blushes ASAP. But we do have a few things to talk about, but this is the reminder to stay hydrated. I have this fabulous little Winnie the Pooh mug. Are you jealous? Tesco's. So do make sure you get your beverage of choice and we'll get straight on into it. You can tell that the Halloween season is upon us because we are having a lot of these sort of releases. This is Melt and their Universal Monsters collection, which is, by the way, available right now as I'm filming. There's a lot in this and I'm going to kind of try and list it through pretty quickly. There's the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein palette for $49, the She's Alive translucent setting powder for $39, the Damned mascara, which is red, for $24, Thirst for Blood liquid set lipstick for $21, Horror and Terror drip lip gloss for $21, the Creature from the Black Lagoon palette, which is a 4-pan palette, for $39, the Creature from the Black Lagoon handheld mirror for $25, the Poison Waters drip lip gloss for $21, the Black Lagoon face gloss for $25, and the Universal Monsters crossbody mini backpack for $45. They have a lot of bundles as well. So there's the Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein bundle, which includes the palette and the setting powder for $75, the Dracula bundle, which includes the liquid lip, the lip gloss and the mascara for $55. You can get the Creature from the Black Lagoon bundle, which is the palette, the gloss, the mirror and the face gloss for $95. Or you can get the full collection, which by the way does include the bag. When I did a kind of short on this earlier, I had thought it didn't include the bag because I was going on other information, but it does include the bag for $250. So as I'm filming, this is already available, and rather interestingly, the only thing that has sold out as I am filming on Thursday evening is the bag. I don't know about you, but I find it very strange that Melt Cosmetics, a brand that is known for cosmetics, have sold out of the item that they are not known for. Like, they can't sell their cosmetics in the same way. I'll get into that in a little bit, but we'll talk about maybe the Frankenstein palette first. The whole vibe of this is totally different. Like, even the long pans, it reminds me a little bit more of Smashbox. I feel like if you have a lot of their existing palettes, you could potentially dupe this. I just feel it's extremely expensive for what it is, like $49 for what is, just an 8-pan palette? That's super expensive. And I have said this time and time and time again, I actually feel that the weakest thing that is part of Melt's entire arsenal is actually their eyeshadow palette. I feel like they really need to reformulate because it just isn't there. This is kind of quite safe. It's very muted. I would have hoped for a little bit more colour, but I kind of get the aesthetic that they're going for here. It just isn't for me. But what's strange to me as well is that on the website they didn't have any swatches, and I really don't understand that. Like, why put forward a palette and not have any sort of swatches? And I'm gonna say it, I feel it's just mostly because their eyeshadow palettes just are not the best quality, so definitely strange to me. And the other thing that I found really strange was just that setting powder. I think it's really weird to come out with a singular setting powder, like it's not gonna be something that's gonna be universal. That looks extremely grey, which is fine considering like it's meant to be like Frankenstein, the She's Alive powder, like grand. But realistically, who wants a setting powder that's going to make them look a little bit dead? Like, that looks ashy. I just can't figure out, like, it's super cool toned. Although I suppose obviously some people do have very cool toned skin, myself included. But really strange that it's not inclusive. Like, why not have like several different shades of setting powder with the same sort of packaging? It's just really strange to me. I feel like the stuff that is actually relatively interesting is the Dracula stuff, like the Damned mascara. That's kind of cute. I like coloured mascaras. I think they're generally quite interesting. $24 does feel like a little bit of a splurge. The packaging is nice though. I don't know. Like, they kind of have done this before where they had their Supernatural mascara with the Beetlejuice collection and people actually ended up liking it, so they brought that back. They made it like a permanent part of the collection. So I'm wondering if they're kind of going to do that with this as well. Like, there are obviously cheaper brands that you can get kind of more purpley red toned, like mulberry sort of tones of a mascara. So I don't don't know if this necessarily fills a gap in the market. Like, I'm just thinking of things like, say, Glisten Cosmetics, and they have a lot of colourful mascaras that are like a fraction of that, and they're easier for me to get. Like, this is fine, actually. I don't hate it, but it's nothing that I'm like, oh my god, I must have this. And I find that really interesting, because there used to be a time where when Melt would come out with a collection, everyone would lose their minds and it would sell out like that, but it just isn't doing that anymore. The liquid lip I do think is very, very pretty. I do like that, and I like their liquid lips because they're quite comfortable. They're not wildly drying, and I again feel like probably some of their strongest points in their arsenal of makeup products are actually things like their liquid lips and their potted liners. So I feel like they could have maybe come out with more liquid lips. Like, that would have been really, really smart, and that is a beautiful, beautiful tone, I have to say. I really like that. And I mean, you can't go too far wrong with a red lip, so I think that's really, really nice. They also have that gloss, and it seems to be kind of quite pinky toned. Again, super, super safe. I don't know if I would spend that much on a gloss. Like, the packaging is fantastic, but for me, I'm kind of like, I don't know, like, unless you've like a really amazing gloss formula and there's like a really nice sort of a sparkle to it, or there's like a holochromy, multi-chromy angle to it, I'm like, I don't really get why I'd want that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fine, but I have lots of products in my arsenal that could potentially dupe it. In terms of the Black Lagoon stuff, like, I mean, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the 4-pan palette for $39, where are they going with that? That's like almost $10 per shade. Don't get me wrong, I feel like actually the color story makes sense. Like, I can see where it's coming from, the IP, but $39 for a 4-pan palette, I'm sorry, like, I just don't see it. And then no swatches. Again, scoured their website, could not find a swatch, and I'm like, what is this about? What is this about? I just think that's too expensive for a 4-pan palette. Like, I literally just bought a 4-pan glitter palette, which is actually like an interesting formula, for like €27. And this, well, we have some mattes and some shimmers. Well, I can't even tell by looking at this. Like, I'm trying to find a description on the website, beyond difficult, so absolutely not. Then in terms of the lip gloss, it seems to be a lip gloss that gives a sort of a green tint, so great if you have like very pink lips and you want to neutralize them, make them a little bit more brown, kind of neutral tone, that's fine. Again, I just personally wouldn't pay that much for a lip gloss that isn't doing something else, like that isn't giving you like a really high reflective shine or something really interesting. This just feels a bit, The packaging, fantastic, absolutely cannot fault that. The face gloss, again, looked for swatches. They showed a video where they had like applied it to the back of the hand, and it is literally, it just, it makes it look wet. And for me, I'm like, I don't really know how I'd feel about that. Like, it looked a little bit oopy goopy messy. Maybe there's a particular technique to using that, but it's not something that wildly appeals to me. And it didn't look like it had much of like, again, any sort of a reflect or whatever. And I will say there are times that I do like a couple of products that give you a sort of a wet look, but that kind of looked a little bit too wet. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, this is strange. So for me, it's not something I would necessarily go for. Weirdly, I feel like the strongest items out of the entire collection have nothing to do with actual makeup products. I mean, possibly the mirror to some extent does, because, you know, you use a mirror to apply makeup, but that's like very tentative. The backpack sold out. How interesting is that? That was a one item that seemed to sell out. And I will say they look really cute. I do think it's a bit sad that it's like a mini backpack. Like, it looks kind of small. I'd like something a little bit bigger, but that's maybe because I have a lot of baggage. I don't know. I feel like this whole collection, the packaging, absolutely fantastic. I feel like the prices are a bit all over the place. However, I have noticed over the last couple of months, I'm signed up to Melt's newsletter because I'm a fool, and they have been doing a frightening amount of sales. Like, I mean, every couple of weeks there's a big sale, and I'm like, what is going on here? What's happening? Like, even fairly recent stuff has been going on sale for like quite a big sort of a discount, or what I perceive to be a big discount. Some things are 40 and 50% off. And I'm like, okay, I'm just wondering how well Melt are doing. That's my big question, because I don't see many people talking about this. There used to be a time where people would absolutely lose their minds, and because they had that sort of like an indie brand edge, they'd do something a little bit different. But let's be real, we have a market that is saturated. There's so many brands out there, you can't move for all the brands. And there's so many other brands out there that do much more interesting colour stories, they actually swatch them and they don't charge as much. So I don't know, I think they really need to revise a lot of where they're going. They need to look at things like their eyeshadow formula, because for me, I'll buy it if it's on like massive sale. But am I going to pay $39 full price for 4 pans? Absolutely not. Am I going to pay $49 for 8 pans? No, not full price. Like if it was like half that price, if that 4 pan palette had been even $24, I'd be like, maybe I'll think about it. I think their pricing is a bit all over the place. Their aesthetic is super, super cute, and I feel like they have some really great ideas, but it just kind of goes a bit all over the place. And it's harder when you have a lot of other brands whose whole aesthetic is along these sort of lines. You know, you have the likes of Notoriously Morbid, Wicked Widow Beauty, that do like really interesting sort of aesthetics like this, and you're like, I don't know. None of this is for me. Like, I wouldn't be unhappy if I got, for instance, that red lipstick, simply because I am a whore for red lipsticks. I can't help it. It is like an actual issue at this point. But I'm gonna say it, like, I was underwhelmed by this, and I remember almost getting like feverish, like being like, oh my god, I can't wait for Melt's next collection. And I feel like where they really started to go downhill was like their Mariposa collection. That was their last big thing that people got excited about. And I even remember I got the big collection at the time, paid with my own money because I'm a fool. And it was just like, okay. I'm just surprised that they didn't have more of their big ticket items, the stuff that's really, really interesting, like their gel liners, those little pots. I swear to God, right? Look at me, lads. Sign up for the newsletter and keep a little eye for when they have those liners on sale, and pick up as many of them as you can, because they are genuinely so good. So good. Things like their bullet lipsticks, their liquid lipsticks, so fantastic. I think they need to, personally, don't come for me, scrap their eyeshadow formula and start from scratch. But yeah, this is underwhelming to me. They took quite an interesting IP and it just wasn't executed that well. And it was about a year ago or 2 years ago that Smashbox actually did a collaboration with Universal Monsters, and they did really cute bullet lipsticks. Couldn't get them here because obviously Smashbox at the time wasn't available in Ireland and the UK. They pulled out, and I'm like, lads, why did you pull out when you've actually got some interesting stuff now? It's weird when I say that Smashbox did it better. What sort of a parallel universe are we in that I'm actually saying that? Like, feel free to disagree, but I personally think they did a better collection because it was more condensed but thoughtful. I don't know, just not for me, but there you go. Then we have Shop Alter Ego, and of course they came to fame by basically duping very well-known, more expensive brands. If you look over at their website, there's just a whole bunch of Natasha, Denona, Huda Beauty, Anastasia, Beverly Hills dupes just all over the place. So they revealed their new palette. It is the Misthaven. So it's an 18 pan palette. It basically is launching today as I'm filming, but I haven't gotten the exact price. I'm assuming it's going to be the same as their usual palette, so around 21-ish euro. If you can't tell, my gorgeous friends, this is a dupe of Huda Beauty's Pretty Grunge palette. Now, I'm reluctant to say dupe because I feel like the word dupe gets thrown around quite a bit. It's a dupe in terms of a colour story, but I personally don't think it's a dupe in terms of formula, right? That's like just the difference pretty much when you're looking at it. Now, of course, as I'm talking about this, I couldn't find it on the website because it hadn't released. I'd be interested to see the ingredients list, because obviously when they're duping the likes of, say, Natasha Denona has gone talc free, so like that's quite a big selling point in my opinion. And I'd love to know, are Shop Alter Ego doing the exact same thing? Are they also going talc free? Now, they're not obviously duping Natasha Denona this time, they're duping Huda Beauty. I actually have the Pretty Grunge palette. I quite like it. I think it's quite interesting. I mean, it's not a bad one. I have one palette from Shop Alter Ego and their Metropolis dupe. It's called Artemis. And do you know what? It's not a bad palette. It's not. It's obviously not the same quality as Natasha Denona, but like for people who obviously can't afford to buy those particular palettes, but they like the color story, it's not a bad alternative. You can see some differences when it comes to quality and swatching, etc. But if you're very, very talented with makeup, I feel like you can make kind of lesser quality palettes work maybe that's just me, like I find that I see some people who have like amazing talent and they'll use these palettes that I'm like, how did you get that to work for you? I don't understand. Obviously I like the colour story because I actually own it from Huda Beauty. I'm going to say it right now, right? They're obviously able to dupe pretty quickly. The Huda palette has been around for about a year now, something along those lines. I would love, and I've said this a million times, to see Alter Ego actually doing their own colour stories. Because that just doesn't happen. Every single palette is a dupe. And you can actually see people kind of going, which one is this meant to be duping? And it's like, oh, I worry that your brand is focused on this, no more than the likes of W7. Like, I get that there's a market for this. People love dupes. There's that weird duping culture. But why not do your own thing? Why not come out with a colour story that is just yours? Yeah, why not do that? I get that probably it'll generate a few sales. I understand like the marketing aspect of there's always going to be people there who are going to do the duping videos of, is this as good as the original? A shocked face, oh my god, thumbnail. I get that. And it's probably going to generate some sales. But there comes a point, right, where I feel personally, the consumer, you guys, have become extremely savvy. You aren't just going to take whatever somebody tells you of them saying, oh my god, it's the exact same quality, because you're savvy enough to see on swatches, on application, how they may differ, etc. And let's be real, if you really like these colour stories, you probably already have the original, so you're not necessarily going to go out and get these. So I can't figure out what they're doing. By the way, the cover art, beautiful, lovely, really, really like that. I don't feel like it 100% links in then with the colour story, but I mean, maybe that's just me. I want to see them do their own thing. I think they can, because the quality isn't bad. It's obviously not to the quality of the stuff that they're meant to be duping, but it's like, make your own niche, do your own thing, stop copying other people's homework. Like, you don't need to do that. At the very least, change it around. Don't have all the pans be in the same place. Like, it is too much of a copy paste, in my opinion. And I can only imagine, like, for those who work with things like Huda and Natasha, Denona, Anastasia, Beverly Hills, it must be really frustrating that they put all of this time and work into designing a colour story and then seeing somebody a couple of months later just copy and paste. Maybe it's just me. I'd find that really annoying, but I'd personally like to see them doing their own thing. You know, I feel like they could do it, so like, why not? Then we have Anastasia Beverly Hills, and a couple of weeks ago I talked about the fact that they had their mini spice palette. It was a very neutral palette. It was fine, nothing to write home about. I will say I did end up getting it. Don't judge me, okay? Shut up, okay? I don't need that judgment. I buy my feelings and it's a whole thing. But this just came out in the last day or two, and it's, by the way, already on Beauty Bay but discounted, which bizarre. So it's discounted for €27.80 over on Beauty Bay, and it's the mini sugar palette. It's also available on Ulta, etc. But weirdly, not on Anastasia Beverly Hills website, at least not at the time that I'm filming. It might be afterwards, who knows? Go have a little look at the description box. I have all the information and the links there, blah blah blah. Anything with an asterisk is an affiliate link. Okay, here's the thing. I actually like this. I think this is pretty. I know. Wilma, shut up. Don't you start roasting me. I think this is pretty. Is this revolutionary? No. Is this changing the makeup game? No. But I like the tones. I like the colours. And I actually think this is a really good one and done sort of little 9-pan palette for €27.80. That's okay. Like 20, let me talk about this again. €27.80 for 9 shades of an Anastasia Beverly Hills formula, which in my opinion is a very, very good formula. They blend so easily. 9 shades for €27 versus Melt's 4 shades for $39. There is no comparison. I'm sorry, there isn't. And I will say, even the swatches look really pretty. Like, they do. Like, they're really ethereal, really pretty. I can see this translating from winter into spring, and I'm here for it. I like that. I'm already envisioning a couple of things that I can do with that. I like that there's a good level of depth in this and a good level of light. I mean, I bought this, yeah, because like I said, I bought the spice because I'm stupid. Because a lot of ABH stuff is on sale, by the way, over on Beauty Bay. Some of it is like 30% off. So I got like a few of their new like space dusty things because I was like, oh, glitter, shimmer, sparkles. I want to look like an extra from Twilight. So I did that, and I'll be honest with you lads, I have no regrets until I eventually look at my bank statements, but that's another day. And you know what? Do I think that this is the most revolutionary palette that has come out from Anastasia Beverly Hills? No, I think they've done nicer sort of colour stories that are a little bit more my aesthetic. The one that they came out with last kind of autumn, oh, gorgeous, and my brain just will not let me know what that was called. I think they came out with some beautiful ones recently, but you know what, I like this. I think it works well as a standalone palette, but I also feel like it would work well in participation with their previous palettes. I kind of feel bad for ABH in some ways because they really lost a lot of goodwill with the makeup community around about the time that they were doing all the Norvina launches, and it gave people the ick. And I think people ended up forgetting then that this is actually quite a good formula. I mean, it's not the absolute best formula. I personally think it's really, really good for the money. But yeah, they've really struggled to kind of bring themselves back from that. Yeah, I like this. I'm gonna say it. I'm not even gonna apologize for it. I think it's really, really pretty, and I was convinced the fact that it was already like 25 or 30% off on Beauty Bay. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, there you go. I thought it was nice. Lovely little present for somebody if they want it for Christmas. That's not why I bought it. I bought that for me. That's not anyone's gift. That is for me. Because I'm greedy. I mean, I just am. And it feels kind of relevant to talk about greed and Christmas here because this is Natasha Denona, and you guys know I love Natasha Denona, but I'm going to be honest with you, this particular release is a little bit weird to me and I don't understand what's happening. So I'm going to talk about the part that really confuses me. There's the Mini Rose Cheek Duo Ornament for €23. Now if this looks familiar to you, it's because it is familiar. It's an existing product. It came out as part of their Rose collection. This exists and you can still buy it. The only thing they've changed is literally the packaging has a little string that you can hang it on the tree. Because apparently people hang makeup on trees now. I mean, I personally don't, and I'm makeup obsessed, so I want to meet the people who do that. I feel like they have a very interesting life. So I don't know why they've done that, why they've chosen that specific blush duo. Well, it's not a blush duo, but it's like a face duo. I don't get why they've done that. That seems really unnecessary to me. And it's not cheaper. It's the exact same price as the other one. So I guess you get a free string, you know, for the €23. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about that any further just because I think it was a really weird thing. I do think the Baby I Need a Nude eye kit isn't terrible. €31, what you get is a 3-pan eyeshadow palette. Now, in that 3 pans, you get 2 mattes and then you get a sparkling foiled champagne. And it isn't duping any of the shades from the I Need a Nude palette. It's basically as like an augmentative palette, but you also get a Macro Tech eye crayon, and that's in a new shade. It's taupe, but it's a mini size. So I feel like that's not a bad one. Like as a Christmas gift, like it's a little stocking filler, I guess, it's not bad. I personally wouldn't be getting that simply because I just feel like I wouldn't get enough use out of it. There's a lot of people I feel that would really like a 3-pan palette. That's all they'd need for like going to work, etc. And I actually feel like that eye pencil, I will say I am interested in that. I know it's so like boring, it's a taupe, but I'm also like, I wonder could I use that on my lip? I'm sorry, I'm still in that weird phase of trying to find taupe lip liners. I don't feel I'll ever grow out of that. I'm looking for it. I'm assuming she'll eventually come out with that in full size, and when she does come out with that in full size, then I'll go for it. It's just a bit like, And by the way, the 2 of these things are limited edition. So the little mini 3-pan palette, that's limited edition. The, by the way, packaging of the Cheek Duo is limited edition. So if you really desperately want makeup on a string, not on a shoestring budget, just on a string, now is the time to get it. I feel like possibly, you know, that little kit of the 3-pan palette and the eye pencil is not the worst value. It's also not the best value. I don't know, I feel like they've done like better kind of Christmassy kits before, but I suppose it is still, I mean, we've just entered October, so there's still time, guys. And I personally feel like Natasha has kind of been doing a bit too much. Maybe that's just me. I'm a terrible affiliate. She's going to kick me off the program, but I'll say what I want to say. I'm not going to lie. I personally think she's kind of doing a little bit too much, and it's not affecting respecting the quality. The quality is still really good. But personally, I'm just like, do we need all of this? Do we need all these lip masks? Sorry, that's like the first thing I'm thinking of. Do we need a dual-ended brush? Because I literally just talked about that last week. How am I talking about a Natasha Denona release within 2 weeks, like 2 different releases? That, for me, that's just too much. Right, this is a luxury brand. Does anyone else remember when luxury brands used to just come out with something once a quarter and that was it? And you were like, okay, we'll wait for such and such a launch and see what they are. But it's like, you can't wait for a launch because it's a launch every single week. And for me, I don't know. I just personally feel like it's a little bit too much. It's fine. Like, it's grand. This is super, super safe. I also feel there's a lot of feelings happening here. Since she's gotten into the likes of Sephora and Ulta, she's playing it a lot more safe when it comes to colour stories, right? I have been a long time fan of Natasha, right? I have seen the packaging changes. I have like the original lilac, the original gold. I remember when she wasn't afraid to put more colour into her palettes. Now she is obviously still doing like palettes with colour. She had her Yucca palette, she had the Xenon palette, etc. But she's going with a lot more neutral, safe palettes. Do you know what I mean? Like in the last couple of launches, we had the I Need a Nude, we've had the I Need a Bronze, the Warm Bronze, the several different levels of bronze, the glam, the whatever. Fine. Totally fine. I get it. There's all those different levels. Totally fine. But I think, conspiracy theory here, that Sephora and Ulta, etc. somewhat dictate the type of makeup or the colour stories to some degree that she's doing. And I get it, she's a business person, right? She's very, very good at what she does. She's gotten to a level of success. And you know what? Fair enough. Fair play to her. Totally get it, totally respect that. And it is not easy once you start being stalked by Sephora and Ulta, because there's all these like clauses where, you know, if they don't sell the units, you have to purchase them back. So it can actually put a lot of brands in trouble. So maybe that's what's going on. Yeah, I'd just love to see, like last year, she had the really cute little mini Triochrome palette. Do you remember that? The blue. That was beautiful. More of that. I'd like to see, do maybe like a neutral thing and then do something that has like a little pop of something, even if it's just like an eye pencil. Like some little pop in there to get people into it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm being a bit whatever. But I do feel like, again, she does like her nudes really, really well. So if you like this, you'll enjoy it. It just isn't for me. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I need to calm down. And maybe I don't need to have a collectionist idea. And that I don't have to own everything that's Natasha Denona, because that's just a little bit silly. On the other hand, watch the conflict occur. I do like small makeup items. Daniela knows me. I love little mini makeup items because they make me feel very big. Because I'm a short woman, and anything that is like a small item that I can get into my little raccoon hands, I'm like, oh. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, little baby palette. But also, are you going to use it? No. Don't be foolish. Put it out of your basket. You don't need it. But yeah, I'm kind of like, it's a little bit much, you know. We don't need a launch every single week, Natasha. Like, relax. Just take a week off. Take maybe a month off. Just for the rest of us, we can't keep up. Then we have Profusion, and this is their Gothic beauty collection. There's a lot in it, and I love that I've gone from Natasha Denona to Profusion, which is such a budget brand. And I gotta say, I like some of the things from this collection. I think it's kind of cute, and again, very, very affordable. So, sharp intake of breath. There's the Moonlight Magic 35 shade palette for €13. The Lash Madness, which is 3 pairs of faux mink lash sets and also includes adhesive for €11. The Not a Phase handheld mirror for €9. The Evil Eye Chrome liquid topper set, so that's a trio, so that's €9. The Wicked Blend, which is a blending sponge and a sponge holder, super cute, €8. The Gothic Beauty cosmetic bag and a lip balm set for €15. The Mood Gloss color changing lip and cheek gloss set, so there's 3 in that for €11. There's cheek balms, and they come in 2 different shades, Catalyst and Mystical. They're €6 each. The Spooky Glow holographic highlighter for €7, and it basically goes from like a silver to a pink. The Cryptic Liner Liquid Eyeliner and Stamp Duo. They're €8, so you get the two of them together. The Gothic Essence Illuminating Skin Mist for €6. The Grunge Era Mascara Duo for €7. How interesting that we're talking about a coloured mascara. This is €7 versus $24. Melt, do you hear this? The Mystic Blend 5-piece face and eye brush set for €13. And the Setting Elixir Mattifying Setting Spray for €7. And you get the whole bundle together for €114. That is a whole bunch of stuff. So this is already, by the way, available on Profusion. I had a little gawk. I took the pictures from them. Let's talk about that eyeshadow palette. The thing that does frustrate me is I couldn't find any swatches. And I'm very interested in seeing what's going on here. It looks super, super cute. €13 for 35 shades. I like this sort of a colour story. Anyone who knows me, I like sort of grungy tones. I like pops of green, pinks, purples. And I feel like you could do like an everyday look with this and not go too far out of a comfort zone, but still have those little pops of colour, like make it interesting. I don't love the marbled shades, but that's just like a me issue. There's only like 2 of those shades. It does drive me nuts that there's no swatches. Like why no swatches? The packaging, I mean, my goodness. I'm not saying that we should buy makeup products for packaging because that is foolish. Let us not start into this foolish nonsense, but it looks really, really cute. It does. Like the outside of that palette, gorgeous. It has a little mirror, super, super cute. I don't hate it. I don't. I kind of wish, you know that pop of green that's just in the center there? I'm trying to figure out, is that a matte or is it a shimmer? It does look like it's a matte as I zoom in. So I'm like, okay, I want to see what the story is with that, because that's sort of a shade, depending on the formulation, that could be very dry, very chalky. I want to see swatches. I want to see somebody swatch this so I know what the story is. I've generally found with Profusion, kind of the way that their formula is, you're better off going from dark out to light, just obviously with whatever ingredients they're using. I don't hate this. You're not kind of getting a lot of light in this palette, which is fine. Probably that's what you could use the highlighter for. I like it. I do. I think that's really, really, really cute. It's €13, so I'm not going to get like super annoyed about that. The lashes then, 3 pairs of foam ink. You also get the adhesive with it. I mean, it's not bad. It's €11. I personally wouldn't wear these except for maybe the Style Morbid. I do like those. I appreciate the fact that they've got coloured lashes because it's very hard to find coloured lashes, and this is kind of cute. I don't know what their adhesive liner is like because that's, by the way, what they've put in. It's not bad. It's super, super cute. €11. Don't hate it. Nothing more to be said on that. The face brushes, I mean, they're grand. I don't really think they're that interesting. I like, you know, the angle of like the bronzer brush. Other than that, I just, in the nicest way possible, don't care. The mirror, super, super cute. Super, super cute and not wildly expensive. I mean, that is retailing for €9. That's €9. And then what, Melt had a 24 or €21 mirror. I kind of think this is kind of cuter. Maybe that's just me. It's kind of giving me Gothic Beauty and the Beast. And by the way, with the brush set, you get like a little tube to put that in. I want to talk about the little sponge set. The sponge is purple. It has that little skull and crossbones thing, and it has a little pot that you can put it in. I think that's adorable. Anyone who's like super Gothic and like is into all of this, I feel like they would really enjoy this. It's not bad. The eye topper set, again, I actually don't hate this. €9 for 3 of them. I want to see them swatched though. That's my major issue. I looked everywhere, but these could be quite nice. And I know that when they came out with their Jurassic Park set, there was quite a few like duochromy, holochromy bits, and they ended up being very, very popular, and apparently a lot of people liked them. And I feel like €9 for 3 of them. Right, it's hard to find Profusion here. You'd have to like order directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it out to the universe, and if this is meant to be, I'll find it in a TK Maxx. And if it's meant to be, then I'll grab it. So it's not bad. In terms of the blushes, they're fine. I think they're maybe a little bit too close to each other in tone. Like I get that one is a lighter and one is a deeper shade, but like surely you could like just blend that out. They're fine. Like I don't hate them. They're not wildly expensive, like €6 each. Grand. I don't have much else to say about it other than that. The What Little Gloss set, I literally couldn't care less. They say it's a mood gloss, colour changing lip and cheek gloss. And I looked on the website, there's 3 of them in the set, and they didn't say anything about pH, but anytime I see colour changing, you guys know it's like a red flag to a bull, or just a red flag in general. Which, by the way, fun fact, it's not the colour of the flag or the rag that makes the bull charge the movement, because they're colourblind. So you learn something new every day, hopefully. Yeah, I couldn't care less about the lip and cheek gloss. I want to know if you're, by the way, using it as a cheek gloss, is it going to break down your foundation? Can you just imagine like like little patches of where you put that on. Like, I love having something that is multi-use, but I'm a smidgen skeptical about that. The holographic highlighter I'm somewhat interested in, but there was absolutely no swatches. They claim it's a silver to a pink. They also claim that it's not going to leave a cast. I mean, those are big claims. Show us the swatches. I get this is obviously extremely affordable, and probably part of how they're keeping it so affordable is minimizing photo shoots, etc. And they're having people essentially take a chance on it. But I'd have to be ordering this from the States, so I'm not going to do that. I think it's cute though, not a bad one. The little makeup bag, I think this is so cute. It's giving me Wednesday Addams vibes, and it weirdly comes like with a lip balm, which is giving me EOS vibe. Do you remember EOS? And they came in that like little thing. I don't care about the balm. I'm not even going to talk about it, but the bag, adorable. And I wouldn't even use it as a makeup bag. I'd just use this as a wandering around the world bag. Super cute. The eyeliner set, I actually think that's adorable. The fact that there's a little stamp of the little bat and the little spider, I really like it. And then you have like the little actual other side of the actual liner. Love that. Think that's super cute. In terms of the mascara, I don't think that's a bad one. I'd prefer to see slightly more colourful, like even a purple or a navy. That'd be really interesting, but it's not bad. In terms of then the mattifying setting spray, that wouldn't personally be for me. I've said this a million times. I have very dry skin. I know, don't be too jealous. But a mattifying spray is definitely not something that I generally tend to go for, because I'm like, no, my skin is deceased as it is. I'd prefer something that gives a little bit of a glow. They also have like this elixir, whatever the hell that is. I think it's meant to be some sort of like a skin prep type thing, I guess, to put in some hydration, but they kind of said like there's hyaluronic acid and stuff in it, which is fine. I don't think there's anything that's like terrible in this. I think if I was to look at this whole collection, I would edit it down ever so slightly. I think they could have had, maybe instead of those two blushes, I think they should have had an extra shade in there just to, you know, have a little bit more variety. I want to see them swatched. Don't understand why they're not swatched. I'd probably go without those lip gloss, face gloss things, because I just don't care. In the nicest way possible. I also don't think that they needed the face brushes and the eye brushes. Like, they're kind of a bit meh, like who cares. But in general, you know what? This is not a bad collection at all. And like I said, if you wanted, you could get the full thing for €114. And I personally feel like that is not a bad price. Like, you're getting a whole, you could do your whole face with the exception of like a foundation for €114. I don't think that's bad. Like, I actually think it's pretty good. And anything I've tried from Profusion, there's a few like misses, but in general, they're not bad for the price tag that you're getting. Yeah, I like this. I don't think it's bad at all. Yeah, actually pretty good release. Then we have Jolie Beauty. We have some more kind of Halloween inspired things. This is their Spellbound palette. It's available right now for €49.95 and it's vegan and cruelty free. And that's literally all the information that I have on it. Because when I went over to their website, I couldn't even find the list of ingredients, which personally I don't love. It's not that I'm allergic to anything. I'm very fortunate, but there's a lot of people that are. So I kind of found it a little bit confusing that wasn't there. So I'm just going to put that out there. However, this color story, oh my goodness, I love it. I think this is so pretty, so moody, so murky. Like, obviously it's very mid-toned through to deep. I personally quite like that. Oh, I want to see the swatches. They don't have any swatches over on their website at the moment. It's a pricey enough palette, but when you look at it, you're getting 28 pans for €50. So it's not actually that bad when you work out the averages. There's just some of those kind of more metallic-y shades like Lightwork and Jinx that I'm looking at, and I have very specific feelings on it. I just think they look really nice. Like, even the shade Manifest, I want to see what the story is there. I feel like this is done really well, and it can also augment a lot of their existing palettes. I could see how this could be used in conjunction with things like their Siren palette. Like, they're not duping themselves, but there's like a light overlap in terms of like some kind of shades, tones, color stories, etc. But again, not duping themselves. I just don't understand why they've made it available but don't have swatches. I want to see the swatches, but they do look absolutely stunning. And I know they're like looking for people to go on to PR these days. By the way, I did tag my friend Daniela in that because I think she'd be fantastic for PR, because if she can't make it work, then it ain't gonna work. Oh, I do think it's really pretty, but I don't need it. I know I don't need it. I need to talk myself out of these things. But some of those shades are like eyeballing me and making direct eye contact, so I need to like just look away. But I do actually think it's quite a nice colour story. Yeah, not bad at all. Then we have Glamlite, and they have been talking about the fact that they were doing a collaboration with Coca-Cola. Any other brand, I'd be like, oh god, what are you doing? Do you remember when Morphe did a Coca-Cola collaboration? Oh my goodness. This looks kind of cute. It's not for me, but I think it's kind of cute. So there's like regular Coca-Cola set, and then there's a cherry Coca-Cola set. It hasn't come out right now as I'm filming, so just keep that in mind. In each of those sets, there's 3 lip glosses. So one is kind of like a traditional sort of like a nude shade, and then there's kind of more shimmer shades in the Coca-Cola set, and there's the same sort of thing with the cherry Coca-Cola set, where there's 2 shimmers and then there's one more of like, not a nude, but like a regular shade. They look kind of cute. Now, they haven't said whether or not they're scented or flavored. They've gone a lot into like lip care stuff, like even they did a recent one of, and I cannot think of it because it's not a food that we get over here, that dessert sweet, or as the Americans would call it, candy. I can't, Tootsie, is it Tootsie? I don't know. Tootsie. How many times can I say Tootsie? So they've been doing a lot of that, which is fine. It's kind of how they came to fame to some degree. They were doing like, you know, their taco palettes and stuff. It's kind of funny to see them go back. It's just the brand overall. I'm like, so you do a horror palette that are themed around Chucky and Freddy Krueger, but also there's Barbie, and also there's Scooby-Doo, and here's Coca-Cola, and here's Frosties, and here, like, it's just like, what is going on? To be fair, Giselle, who is the owner of Glamlite, she must be the hardest working person, because she is just keeping all the balls rolling, and she just seems to do really, really well with the IP that she takes on. Like, it's generally very well thought out, and even as I'm looking at these, I'm like, yeah, these are kind of cute. Like, she's done these well. I don't hate them. I'm not wildly into lip gloss, like I said before, unless like it's a super, super interesting formula, has a really interesting finishing. Like, we don't know what it looks like in terms of the finish. I haven't seen any of that yet because this isn't available yet. Maybe I'd be convinced. Like, the colours make sense. I get it. And the packaging. She's done really well on the packaging, like, let's be real. She works really, really hard. I totally appreciate that. This just isn't for me, and that's okay. Things don't have to be for me, Lord knows. I don't need to be buying everything. We then have CXC Beauty, and they have announced their Raven's Revenge palette. They were kind of showing this in black and white for a couple of days, but we now have seen the full reveal. We don't know when it's coming out or exactly what price it is, so I'm a little bit useless. But they're also, by the way, doing a mini version of this, and the mini version comes with 4 different packaging colours, which I think is quite cool. Now, the owner was very upfront about this because they got a lot of flack before in terms of using AI to generate the cover art, and they've made it very, very clear that this time around this is all cover art that has come from them. So can we just appreciate the fact that this is a brand that listened to their consumers and the concerns that were put forward? Well done them, I have to say. Fantastic. Now let me talk about the actual colour story, if you can't tell. This is a bit of me. I like this, really like this. I'd like this along with the Spellbound palette from Jolie Beauty because I'm a greedy little thing. I think the tones of this are really, really nice, and it's funny when you're looking at the larger palette, I can almost see like there's 2 9-pan palettes and then there's a really cute little trio at the very side, and I like that. I love the way that this is structured. It looks really pretty. The swatches don't look bad either. You know, I'd like to do my own swatches, but that's simply because I'm a greedy bee. I like the shades of this. I feel like it's done very well. You can see how the outside of the palette reflects the inside of the palette. Like, there's a really, really clear kind of a link to that. And even the little mini palette, I feel like they took a lot of the really interesting colours. I love that they've put it in different packaging. I know that's such a silly thing to say, but I think that's really, really cute. Apparently they normally do it in black and white, but they decided they'd have a few more kind of colour options. I think they were saying that black is on back order, or it's delayed, so they have a few extra options. I like it. I think I prefer the larger palette to the 9-pan palette, but I appreciate the fact that they give the mini option. I've been really loving that I've been seeing seeing brands doing that. Like say Shell We do that. They give you like the larger size of a palette and then a little mini one. This isn't like the mini version of the palette. It's just a more curated one. So I think that's actually quite nice. And the colours that they've chosen to group together makes a lot of sense. Like you have a corresponding matte and a shimmer. I appreciate that. I think it's done really well. And even the cover art is just like a more condensed version. Done really, really well. I really appreciate that there are brands out there that are listening to their consumers and are taking on that feedback. I like that. I think it's really cute. Okay, now we have Wicked Widow Beauty. And remember how I was saying earlier about Melt Cosmetics, and I think that they're struggling because there's brands out there that have a similar aesthetic, but I feel like they do it better. Insert Wicked Widow Beauty. This is part of their essentially Halloween collection. This is the Tales of Terror, a Haunting launch. So at the moment they've shown their lipsticks. That's all I know about. They're $16 each and they're fabulous little bullet lipsticks. So there's Mortal, which is a cool toned purple. Woodlands, a rich deep forest green. Cursed, a gritty slime inspired green. And Pumpkin Gut, which is a lively vibrant orange. And by the way, there are codes that you can use to get money off. They're affiliated, like the lovely Makeup on Your Radar. They have Radar 10, which will get you 10% off, I believe. Oh my goodness, the colours, the tones, I love it. I think this is so interesting. It reminds me, do you remember Lime Crime when they did really interesting lip colours? Like they were liquid lip colours, but they were really interesting. This is the bullet version. I think this is super cute. I will say I get a little bit nervous now wearing coloured lipstick. And the reason why is I have terrible teeth. I acknowledge this about myself. I have to get a load of dental work done. The executive dysfunction that comes with autism is great. So I get a bit nervous wearing colourful lipsticks because I feel like it exaggerates how bad my teeth actually are. But also, fuck it. You know, you live one life. I don't really care enough. I like these. Oh, the shade Woodlands. I want to see them on the lip because it's really interesting, because when you look at the bullet and then you look at the shades that they've given, like the actual colour cards to go with it, they don't entirely match up, or at least in my brain they don't match up. I'm kind of like, oh, I feel like the shade Cursed looks a little bit more green in the bullet and the shade Woodlands looks a little bit more blue like in the bullet than it does on the kind of colour card. I'd like to see these on the lips. I assume they'll do that at some point. Yeah, I like them. And $16, it's not bad at all. For an indie brand to keep their prices down that much, kudos. And they did a really interesting bullet launch with The Crow. They did actually manage to get the IP for that. And you know, they had a lot of issues with that. Not their own issues, it got stolen. It was a whole thing. So it's just really good to see that brand still managing to go and actually do something quite interesting, quite out there, really push the bar out when there's other brands that are just playing it super safe. Yeah, I like this. I actually think it's super, super cute. Well done, Wicked Widow. Fabulous. Then we have SHEGLAM. I have a couple of thoughts on this. This is their Pink Ribbon Rose Blush and it's $8.49. It's available right now. So in support of breast cancer awareness and research, their Pink Ribbon Rose Blush features a 3D rose design. So that reminds me, there was a brand a couple of years ago, do you remember, you could get the rose in like this little sort of a pot and you'd dip your brush into it and get pigment. That's essentially what they're saying, but it doesn't have a pot. So they say that each petal encapsulates gorgeous shimmer blush pigment that adds a beautiful subtle flush of rosy colour. I'm not surprised that it's a shimmer blush because this is talc free, and to have a talc free formula, the cheaper kind of materials for that will normally be a little bit shimmery. So I'm not wildly surprised. However, they said that to honour all of their contributions to those affected by breast cancer, we will be donating $1 to the National Breast Cancer Foundation with every purchase of this blush. So the blush itself is $8.49, so that means $1 out of that $8.49 is going towards that, which isn't bad, but also not amazing either. Like, I suspect they'll obviously get a lot of this back through taxes, etc., which is fine. I'd prefer to see them put it towards charity than not. Yeah, the packaging on this, like, I get it. It's a whole thing. It's a bit cumbersome, a little bit finicky. How do you even store it? Like, it is just there. So what? You've nothing to cover it with? I'm just thinking of contamination and how quickly that would happen. Like, I get it. It's in interesting to look at. It's not a bad one. And there's a soft rose scent, which I'm like, okay, fair enough. I just can't figure out how you'd store it. I like the idea of it. I think that maybe if they'd managed to put some sort of like, I don't know, a component to put it in, like that we've seen other brands do it with. I don't know how much you're actually even going to get. How many uses will you get out of this? How much product is actually there? Like $8.49. I know it's not wildly expensive, but it's more expensive than SHEGLAM normally would be. So I don't know. I do appreciate when brands do give back to charities, etc. But also, they're going to profit from this quite a bit. You know, they will. Like, let's be real. Like, yeah, they're putting $1 in, but there's still, there'll be people who might be quicker to buy this because of the link with breast cancer research, because unfortunately, breast cancer is so common. Yeah, all of us know somebody who has had a battle with breast cancer. So I feel like they, you know, I get it. They're a business. They're going to try and make money, but I always get a little bit nervous when people use an illness as part of their campaign, but at least they're actually putting money into the charity. I remember there was an indie brand a while ago, and they did an eyeshadow palette, and it was all themed around breast cancer awareness, and they didn't put a single cent towards it, and that gave me such an ick at the time. So I'm like, it's a bit worrying when SHEGLAM has the higher ground, like the higher moral ground in those particular instances, but maybe that's just me being a bit like, whatever. It's fine. I just feel like $1 isn't a huge amount when they are going to make a massive profit off of this. Do you know what I mean? I just, did you need to tie it to breast cancer? I don't know. Anytime that somebody is using such a common disease to sell something, I just instantly kind of get a little bit. That's just a me thing. Don't worry if you're not the same. That's grand. You know, everyone's going to have their thing. And again, I suppose at least they're putting money towards charity. But there's just certain things I just get a little bit of an ick from, and I don't know why. It looks nice. It does. It looks like a beautiful shade. Probably a little bit better for lighter skin tones, which I'm like, again, think about inclusivity. That's always an issue. And we've seen that particularly in blushes over the last while. Like, that does look like it has the potential to be quite ashy on a deeper skin tone. So I worry about that. And it's also, it just looks like it's fussy. How can you tell when it's done? Yeah, like, you know, with most of your products, you'll know when you've panned it. Like, what do? Just pick up the rose and just tilt it over and knock over to see how much pigment is left. That's the only thing I could think of, is maybe like taking the flower and like, I don't know, like patting out the pigment and trying to repress it. But I'm like, why am I doing that? That seems like a lot of unnecessary work, but maybe that's just me and I'm being really, really catty. I don't know. But the last thing that we're talking about is a little bit of a sneak peek, and it is, of course, Nomad Cosmetics. Oh, I'm so excited. They've obviously been giving a lot of clues as to what's going on, so it looks like it's set around Prohibition era, which, oh, gotta say, I think this is going to be super, super interesting. The destination reveal is out on Friday, so as I'm editing, I'll know. Maybe editing Teresa will put it in. I don't know. The colour story is going to be revealed on Saturday as you guys are watching. So obviously we'll discuss this a little bit further next week, and you can get it on Tuesday. Can I just say the shades that they have shown? I only grabbed like still images, but they look so sparkly. And yes, I know sparkly things like isn't the be all and dead and all, but like, I can't help it. I am a magpie. I just want sparkly things. And that eggplanty shade, oh, it looks beautiful. And I really feel like Nomad have kind of been killing it with their colour stories, with their launches. Their engagement with their community is probably some of the best that I have seen in an indie brand in a really long time. I'm excited about this. I can't wait to see what the story is with this. It just looks Stunning. But my gorgeous friends, that's it. We did have quite a few things to talk about, even though it felt like it was a quieter week, but there you go. This is my favourite comment from this week. So a massive thank you to Anissa, who said, coffee plus my cats plus my favourite video of the week on a Saturday morning equals perfect combo. I don't know. I feel like popcorn and Maltesers are the perfect combo, but there you go. I probably commented on it before today, but Cleona nail polishes are an absolute must. And I've been talking to my friend Sue. Sue is a terrible influence. I love you, Sue, you're fabulous. And she's like, here's where you can get Cleona nail polishes, like in the UK and Ireland. And I'm like, you are a bad person. So actually, now that Sue has said it, Anissa has now said, I am now addicted to sparkly shifty nails and will not stop. I look like a 55-year-old teenager and I love it. Sparkliness knows no age limit. Enjoy your fabulous self is what I say. And you know what? If you're telling me that these are an absolute must. And by the way, I have nothing on my nails at the moment. Like, I'm terrible. But I could talk myself into these. And like I said, Sue did find a website for me that I could buy them on. Twist my rubber arm, why don't you? But my gorgeous friends, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Do please like, comment and subscribe. Turn on that notification bell and do please share, because sharing is caring, except of course for STDs, in which case just wrap it up. Don't be gross. But that's it. That's the end of this video and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.